caused you to make that leap? Like, you know, you say you were shy. You're not shy today. You know, getting on the hood of a truck, coming out into the crowd in a particular way. What was it that caused that?
You will need to know the cars in detail to sell the cars, because you need to point out the good things of the cars. I have sort of a little bit of a baby face, and people will come to me and say, man, you cannot be the CEO, man. 1,000 people coming to buy cars, and they were like, no, I need to talk to the guy that is in charge. I'm the one in charge.
You just can't not.
But that's,
otherwise
that was the thing, because you need to, normally the car dealers are salespeople, they are extroverts, and then if you want to blend with them, and it was really tough time, we were losing a lot of money, and then it became the most profitable business we had in Europe at those days.
You're the new leader of a business. 9 of your critical people that make your revenue decide to leave. How do you process that? Welcome to the Autobiography once again, a video series that shines a spotlight on inspiring leaders. It captures their fascinating stories about their personal journeys and key leadership lessons. It also uncovers the secrets of their success. Today, I am privileged to be joined by Nuno Castel-Branco, General Manager of StandVirtual and OLX Portugal Motors. Nuno, it's really good to have you here. I can't believe you did 2 flights.
Yes, 2 flights. One from Lisbon to Dubai, and another one from Dubai to Johannesburg, as you say.
How many hours?
In total, since I left Lisbon until I arrived here, it's probably around 20 hours. And I have a very long queue in immigration, so it was around 20-something hours.
20-something hours.
Yeah, from one airport to the other airport.
In a tube. Just to go. We feel very honored that you made a 20-hour trip.
I'm very pleased. I'm the one. I'm very honored to be here.
Okay. So, I mean, to kick off, you and I have known each other for a number of years.
So many years.
I think the first time I met you was at the NADA in the US.
But I think like the ones when I was already working for the OLX Group, but I think I met you a couple of times even before with Steve Greenfield.
Yes.
In previous NADAs, you know, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, probably 10 years ago. And I didn't know until probably a couple of years ago. I didn't know that your background was in Cox Automotive, and that you worked for Cox for quite a long time. So I'm keen to get into that part of your story.
Cool.
But let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Where did Nuno grow up?
And I literally grew up in Lisbon. You know, I still live in Lisbon, and I was born there, even though my origins are more on the north of the country, because my name is Castel-Branco, that in English for people would be White Castle. And so I'm origin from there on the side of my father. So like it's outside of Lisbon, but both my father and my mother, they lived in Lisbon, so that's my origins. And I went out for like, and we're going to talk about that for sure. When I was in Cox Automotive, I was around the world for almost 10 years. But I really love to be back in Lisbon because, you know, of the beach. I love to surf. I love to be on the beach on the weekend and stuff like that. So that's my hometown. So I love towns that are like very cosmopolitan, but the beach for me is something special. I really love it.
So you surf?
I surf. I try to surf.
Does Portugal have big waves?
Yes, I think they have even the biggest waves in the world. They are called Nazaré waves.
Oh wow!
It's where the world records of the largest, the tallest waves. They are trying to get the record of 100 feet wave, so it's sort of like 30 meters. But unfortunately or fortunately, I do not surf those waves. I surf waves with 1 meter to 2 meters, not 30 meters waves. You know, I'm just an easy rider. I just longboard. That's
you
my
still
style.
surf till?
I just surfed 2 weeks ago before being here, because I was not allowed to surf for like 2 months, and I had to do a surgery. But just recently, I had the chance to go to the beach. It was like 27 degrees, so I went like a full day on the beach, surfed like 3-4 hours. It was lovely to be back in the ocean.
So you did your school education in Portugal?
In Portugal. I have a degree in computer science. And then, so I'm still very attached to that. I really like, especially everything that is related to data. It's something that it was my thesis when I finished my degree. And later on, I was thinking about going to France or potentially to the US to do my MBA. But I still have done it in Portugal because at the time, it was a time that my eldest daughter was born, so I decided not to move out. So I also studied, so that period in terms of my studies and all my initial training, I practiced a lot of sports. All that stuff has been done in Lisbon.
In Lisbon. And your education years post-schooling, was that done full-time, part-time?
No, I always done full-time. I done full-time my degree on computer science. And later on, I thought about doing my MBA on a part-time. I started part-time, but after 2 months, I said, man, it doesn't make sense. It's going to take me 2 years. I was at that time, maybe now the things are different. When you do an MBA, it opens new doors to you.
Yeah.
And I felt that was going to happen, so I decided after 2 months, I said, I'm going to go full-time. So I done my MBA in 1 year. And then I moved. I was working for a technological company that, and I'm not even sure that it still exists. It was Unisys. I don't know if you remember Unisys, long time ago, like the mainframes and stuff like that. So then from there, I moved to McKinsey. So that's how, my education always been full-time.
So McKinsey as a consultant?
Yes,
was that one of your first jobs?
It was my first job after the MBA. So before the MBA, after I finished computer science, I really started more into that, at that time, telecommunications were boosting, the mobile phones were not still
Which decade was this?
And we're talking about.
We don't want to date you, but
come on, I'm sort of old. So I finished my degree in computer science in '94.
Okay.
So I started working for Alcatel.
Alcatel.
Okay. Right, and it was like those big telephone centrals that were programming, to have like voice messaging and stuff like that. But then it was, a lot of coding, and I done that like for 6 months, and then moved more into product management, and then that's why I moved into Unisys, and then I was doing a lot of like business intelligence and warehousing. The annual moments where how could you leverage data to start having more smart decisions in the businesses, correlating the early days of stuff like that. But in a certain moment, because I was moving into that direction, leveraging technology together with business, I said, maybe I should do an MBA, because I was basically, I was pure engineer, right? And I think that helped me a lot. Yeah. And then moving to McKinsey opened even more, because, I was a strategic consultant, still young age, before my 30s, working with board members, advising them on those decisions. I think it helped me a lot in my career.
Proper post-MBA stuff, McKinsey.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. How long were you at McKinsey for?
I was at McKinsey for like 2.5 years, 3 years at the most. Then I had a very interesting, because I think I have on me, I'm sort of more like a doer. So just being on the PowerPoint sometimes, I think I can learn like that. Even today, I have stuff that the way I structure, I organize myself, the way I think, the way I divide the problems, it still comes from my McKinsey days.
Okay.
We still have an amazing McKinsey network, around the country and even outside the country that I can correlate to. But I really like to be on the business. I like to be with the customers and make things happen, and not just being the advisor and just the consultant. That happens a lot to consultants.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to speak badly of consultants, because that's not the case at all.
But I have so many jokes in my life, because I was, especially when I moved from McKinsey to work at the importer of Volkswagen, they were all the time making jokes about me, man, just the consultants, smart comments, great PowerPoints, but we are the ones that do the
I've heard PowerPoint jockey and a whole bunch of stuff. But I mean, it sounds to me like you really did, the engineering bit, and then went into the business bit. I think many consultants really go straight into MBAs and business before any other sort of mathematical or analytical degree. So that's quite interesting, because you came from a scientific background, and now you go and do an MBA and work for McKinsey, and it's more artistic.
Yeah.
With some, data to do PowerPoint slides. So that might have kind of like, does it change your thinking?
Yeah, and I think it was sort of a two-step. Let me talk, because when I came out from McKinsey, I had the opportunity immediately, like the opportunities that it opens to you after McKinsey. I think I was 29 years old, and I was invited to go into the board of, the importership of Volkswagen in Portugal, right? Still pretty young, 28. And basically, my role was like sort of being the CTO, Chief Technology Officer over there. And it was the days that everything was opening to the internet, right?
VW Portugal.
VW Portugal, right? And it was like,
So this is late 1990s.
No, it was on the 2000s.
2000s.
Okay. Right?
Okay, so the internet was just young.
Just that, right? Like, what we're going to do, are we going to go on the used cars, on the new cars? We don't have websites, what should we do? Like, should we have one single platform? How do we operate? All that stuff. And then, I was again like on a more consultative approach. What's the best way? So even inside of the group with that board member position, I was not seen already as a doer, right? But still, I helped the group a lot to structure.
You mean you were seen as a consultant?
I was seen as a consultant, the guy that would bring a lot of outside perspective to those automotive guys, not being an automotive guys at those.
Was this your first interaction with automotive?
Yes, it was 2000 when I joined the Volkswagen and Audi,
and you fell in love.
I fell in love. I always liked cars, right? But it was really a challenge coming from technology, and I went into, like, for these guys, technology was not there. It was the dealerships. It was how to sell the cars. At those days, Volkswagens, the Golfs, they would sell by themselves, right? They were not concerned about technology, and that was my challenge there. And so we started doing a lot of innovation things. And then in the middle of this, it came up an opportunity, because also, as I was sort of a consultant, they said, okay, let's hire a consultant to do more things as an automotive group. And they said, no, we have Nuno. We already have the consultant, right? Why the hell we need to hire McKinsey or BCG? So they said, no, more than just being the CTO, let's help the group to do business development, right?
Yeah.
So based on that, I worked with the team. At the time also, I used some even external consultants just to generate ideas in the group. These guys were called like strategos. I don't know if they still exist today. And we basically got into different things like, should we also go into the end cycle of the cars, like, recycling the cars? So we invested in that area, right? We also decided to go more on the used cars part, there was no business. We started doing those mega dealers at the time called like Global Car, creating those mega dealers in Portugal. And there was a very specific business that really attracted my attention. That was car auctions. They were going all over the place in Portugal.
So was this car auctions outside of VW or?
Yeah, no, it was because in the case of Portugal, VW was an independent importership.
Okay.
So they had the chance to also create business around it to create an automotive group. So in the meantime, we also got into the leasing company at the time.
Okay, so
we also developed a bank inside that was, in a way, also representing Volkswagen Financial Services in Portugal, and we also created a rent-a-car. So we created an automotive group in Portugal around the Volkswagen group importership.
So VW had, well, the company that you had this role in.
It was like SIVA, as known at the time.
Had a license for VW.
For VW.
And could build other businesses.
Exactly. So we built other business around it. Yeah. Nowadays, it's owned, just not, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, VW took over control of that company. So now in Portugal, Volkswagen is physically present, owning the importership, but for the rest of all those years in Portugal, it was an independent importer, so we created business around that. So, but in your story that you were asking me, so I got a little bit in love with this business that was car auctions. And they were like booming in Portugal like mushrooms, like a lot of people invested, they could see that was an opportunity. And in the group, one thing that I felt, man, there's an opportunity that we can take an advantage, because being a group, as I mentioned to you, with a fleet company, with a rent-a-car company, and with dealers and also with used cars, we were a factory of used cars. So if we were a factory of used cars, we could use those cars to retail them or to wholesale them.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, we have a competitive advantage. So we decided to go into car auctions. And my view at the time is better than going alone. It's better to go with a worldwide market leader. So interesting story, I just called up the embassy to talk to Mannheim from Cox at the time and say, man, we would like to talk to you. And then the ambassador connected us with the US connected us with the UK, and we start talking. So we decided to do a partnership in Portugal to run the business together with Cox Automotive, and at the time just about auctions, and it was called Mannheim, the business,
okay.
right?
I didn't make that link. So for me, that's a new piece of information.
Okay.
How did that Cox connection happen?
Because Mannheim was one of the businesses, you probably know, and some of the people that may be watching us, Cox Automotive is probably one of the largest from an automotive service in the world, the largest probably, right? They have everything. They have the marketplace. They have Kelly Blue Book, in terms of pricing. They have dealer.com, the websites, and then they have Dealer Plan. They have Dealer Track. They have financing. They have everything, right?
They're probably the most horizontally integrated business in our market.
Absolutely. I think they have everything. One CRM. They have everything that you can think of. They have it. So we just focus on that piece that it was Mannheim at those days, right? And they felt that this could be interesting. Why not invest in Portugal, even though it was too small? But at the time, the gentleman that was the CEO for Europe and international was also like the owner of 20% and said, let me invest in Portugal. And said, okay, it's small, but let me try. That was John Bailey. I don't know if you have had the chance to meet him. And so we decided to do that. And because I was the one that was very focused on that negotiation and felt that it makes sense, in the end, John Bailey said, Nuno, why don't you become a general manager? I know you sort of a consultant. We guys on car auctions, it's like a lot of like kicking tires and stuff like that. But I said, there's a challenge, and even there's a challenge to me on the automotive to say, like a young guy that went to be a board member, now he goes straight into used cars, but it's not just used cars, it's into car auctions, sometimes very tough cars, tough people buying cars. So that's what I really got as when we today can talk about art and science. It was my most art moment with automotive, because even at those days, I went to be an auctioneer with a hammer on my hand.
Actually being an auctioneer?
Being an auctioneer.
Can you talk that fast?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Wow.
25, 26, 27, 27, 27, 2. So you go with fly with
Did you do it in English or Portuguese?
No, I normally done it in Portuguese, in Portugal, but sometimes I was invited to go to other countries, because I also think at those days, and I think even today, into some of the stuff that I do, I think you can attract the attention of the people if you create some sort of a show. So at those days, I remember that I even jumped into the hood of a truck.
I saw an image yesterday of you
on top
what
of
we
a
call in South Africa the bonnet.
Yeah.
You call a hood.
Yeah.
Of the truck.
Yes.
I mean, and this was a Mack truck. It's a big truck.
And then I could do crazy stuff like come out of the rostrum, as the English guys say. The Americans, they call it the block, where the auction is, and I could come down and go straight face to face to the customers and say, come on guys, give me a price of the car. Not even give the floor price.
That's kind of like
American show, right?
I mean, Americans do those.
Yeah,
they do them well.
It's inspired on the American style. I remember, man, stuff that I never done, but in the US, in Las Vegas, guys would come and do these shows with a Superman cape, and then people would just come to the auctions to see, and then the cars are sold. So there was a lot of emotion, there was a lot of heart to sell the cars. And of course, you need to know the cars, right? Yeah. In those days, I used to say, guys, don't forget, this car has air conditioning and electric windows. That was amazing thing to say about the cars those days, right? And the halo wheels and stuff. So you need to know the cars in detail to sell the cars, because you need to point out the good things of the cars, or potentially be careful about this or that in the car.
Is that what built your knowledge on cars?
Yes, I think a lot. Like today, that even like people are surprised that I can look into the car. I imagine you may be able to do the same, and I can in less than 2 minutes, I can know if that car was in an accident.
Yeah, I mean, I
can look into the steering wheel, and I can know if maybe the mileage of that car was tempered, because I know those tricks because I was there for sort of 10 years And then I not only have done auctions in Portugal, then I moved that into Spain, that into Italy, and then I know Turkey, even Thailand, Brazil, and then I've seen a lot of realities around the world, even on initial phase just in two-car auctions.
So focusing on the showmanship bit, right? The American kind of way to sell, and you come from being a computer science engineer,
A geek.
And
I was much more shy than what I am today.
Introverted people is how people describe kind of computer science into this consulting world.
It also makes you a bit tight. Like the consultants are also a bit like rigid.
So, what caused you to make that leap? Like, you say you were shy. You're not shy today.
Professionally, at least.
Getting on the hood of a truck, coming out into the crowd in a particular way. What was it that caused that? Because you're not American, so you.
But I always worked for American companies, and I have a lot.
Was it that influence?
Yes, that influenced me a lot, both in Unisys and then especially working with Volkswagen, but then being in Cox helped me. But I can't tell you what was the thing that made me flip. So, I was the CEO of the company in Portugal on my 30-something years old, and even people would come, and I have sort of a little bit of a baby face, and people would come to me and say, "Man, you cannot be the CEO, man." And we take like big decisions. We have like 1,000 people coming to buy cars, and they were like, "I need to talk to the guy that is in charge. I'm the one in charge." But then there was a moment that I felt that I was losing control of the business because I was more running the business from my office, from the inside, not facing the customers, because everything was happening on the lanes.
Yeah.
And I felt that who was really controlling the business was the auctioneer.
Yeah.
The guy that was on the block, making the bids, deciding to whom to sell the cars, and if he was doing a good job or not. So from one day to the other, I said, "Man, something is wrong with the auctioneers." So I had to send the auctioneers to go away because it was not going well. And we had no auctioneers on the following day. So I said, someone has to take responsibility. So myself and a couple of the managers in the team said, "Man, let's take it out, and then we'll find some auctioneers, but for now, let's take it." And then I felt going there, being on the front line of that business, then I started understanding more about the business, about the price, how the dealers think about it, what's interesting in the cars, what really spins in the business. And then when you start to be facing the business, where you have like 1,000 customers on an auditorium looking into you and you have to go bidding, you have to free yourself.
There's the magic moment.
That's the magic moment where I had to become an extrovert. And I also had a guy that was my teacher at those days, that guy was called Mike Mosier, that he was an American. And he was not an auctioneer, not an extrovert, but he told me, "Nuno, if you want to go to the next level, learn with these American guys." Let me give you a couple of examples. And said, "Nuno, let me just give you a very simple example. On the US, man, you use simple things like give basketball balls to the people and even tell them, shoot 3 times, and if you put one in, you're gonna have like a free auction fee if you buy a car." Man, I could see that the customers were loving it. But the balls were like 50 cents, and everybody won a 50 cents ball for the kids if they buy a car. So they would buy a car of 10,000 euros just to have a basketball. And I could see, man, people really attracted. So making a show, bringing people to do, fire shows and events in the meal or, carnival, whatever, doing stuff or American events. And,
it really works.
And it really works. People were coming. I had one of the events we have done, we have more than 1,000 dealers coming over. And Portugal has sort of 3,000 dealers. Yeah. And we had 1,000 dealers in the room auctioneering there. And I invited a guy from a TV. I don't know if you also have the same show called The Price is Right. So the guy was The Price is Right face on the TV. And I asked him to auctioneer a couple cars. So based on that, I had to free myself.
Yeah.
And even specifically on the automotive world, and especially on the retail world, I think you really need to be more forthcoming and talking to people and learn from them.
Yeah.
And that was the ticking moment that made me more comfortable and to understand that doing a bit of a show it helps in terms to attract that attention.
Well, I mean, I think I would describe you based on that, on your story so far, as a smart extrovert.
Yeah, exactly. Like I had to build myself, like maybe as you say, not like totally natural. So I had to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Sometimes I use the example of Ronaldo. I don't know if Cristiano Ronaldo from football, you know,
sure
some of you guys
knows,
may say soccer. Some of the guys were born, maybe, I know, Pelé, Maradona, naturally playing football, but this guy works every day and made his way to be, on my view, the best player in the world. I'm for sure not the best manager or the best auctioneer in the world, but I think I'm now probably more comfortable with the public, with the crowd, with my customers, and with the industry, because I had to walk my way through, not just be the smart consultant.
Uncanny how your journey and my journey are very similar, and I think we're of similar age too.
Yep.
And that I was also an introvert. I wasn't an extrovert. A lot of people won't say that today, but that's why I was interested in that moment. Like, where was that kind of change? It might not have been one day, but it might have been a couple of weeks or a couple of months. You know, for me, it was a very similar thing. Early 30s, getting role as CEO, people, you know, now having to go visit customers. And I think it was car dealers that turned me into an extrovert.
Yep.
Because you just can't not.
But that's the thing. I think that was the thing, because you need to, normally the car dealers are salespeople, they are extroverts. And then if you want to blend with them, you need to be, you cannot be a shy guy in the middle of these people. You need to blend with them. I used to use the whole time suits and the tie and even like the cufflinks. I had to drop all that stuff. Now on this interview I'm slightly a bit more formal, but normally I'm on jeans and white sneakers and stuff like that, and you know, speak the same language. Maybe if I visit Volkswagen or BMW, you know, I'll be slightly more formal, but not with a tie.
But I think that's the key learning, though, is in the automotive industry, if you want dealers as customers, you can't be shy. You've got to be that kind of personality, and
they will respect you for that.
And they'll respect you for that.
They will not respect if you are too shy, if you don't. If you are, because sometimes they can be aggressive with you, but they will respect if you are, you know, on a constructive way, also aggressive with them. If you just get shy and, you know, you don't have answers, man, that's not going to roll out especially on the independent market. I think on the franchise world, there's a little bit
it's a bit more corporate.
But on the independent world,
it's different.
No.
All right, so you become an auctioneer, effectively. Now
I remember guys from McKinsey to come and see, is Nuno over there crying and shouting for cars? He used to be a consultant, he used to be supporting board members, and what the hell? So it was almost a show for the guys to come over.
So you study computer science, you do an MBA, become a consultant, you become a CTO, and then you become an auctioneer. I mean, that's colorful. That's colorful. So from there, where did your career lead you?
From there, it's those moments in life again. Like I would relate again to John Bailey. I think John Bailey also liked that I was doing something different in continental Europe compared to the UK. The UK, they are more formal. So this stuff about football and games and basketball, they were like very formal. The auctioneering or the rostrum and go there and this that. And it was like, wow, in Europe, like in Portugal, they're doing different, and even we changed the lanes, because in the US, the lanes, they are called like competitive lanes, where the dealers don't sit and the dealers are all standing around the cars.
Okay.
And so we changed even in the Portuguese lane to go on the US format to take it out of the auditorium, so that people don't stay lazy, but if they are standing up, they will bid more easily on the cars. So he said, this guy's changing a couple of things different ways. So he said, you know, he decided to give me more responsibility and say, no, you want to move more into the Cox world instead of, you know, that Volkswagen and Porsche world that I was. I said, yeah, let's do it. So he gave me the responsibility initially for Spain and Italy. So I became the regional managing director for Portugal, Spain and Italy. And very quickly, in less than 6 months, he gave me Turkey, because, you know, it was not going well. And I said, man, no, you may come with new ideas to those guys. let's get into Turkey.
Also, Turkey. It's funny how successful people always get the things that are not going well.
Yeah, it's true. So it was really, but even today, I changed some message with the guy that was my CEO. The guy is called Zafer Terzoglu, and amazing people in Turkey, very smart. They are still my friends until today. A lot of friends there, and it was really tough time. We were losing a lot of money, and then it became the most profitable business we had in Europe at those days. And based on that, then John Maley gave me Thailand. That was a bit far away. And he also gave me the responsibility for Brazil.
Did you ever go and live in Thailand?
No, not live, but I would go there at least once a quarter. I would go to Bangkok. But that one was making, it was a good business, it was well managed by Simon, that CEO. He also now still owns that business. He done a managed buyout. And I also then, because we wanted to go to another level, and then so together with John, we decided to invest in Brazil, because Brazil is 220 million people, right?
Yeah.
So that's when we made that.
That's a tough country.
That's a tough country. No, that is. I was not able to crack Brazil as I wanted, because we have done the auctions there, but it's a tough business. There's a lot of shady things going on. And
well, I think regulation is probably
yes.
their issue.
Exactly. The regulation is not there, and it's tough. But it's I have a lot of friends in Brazil, so I worked with Brazil for many years. And that was so the first step with that John was, he gave me all these countries, so I was managing these, sort of like 6 countries. It was a bit crazy. And then later on, it was not just enough, especially a country like Brazil and even in Thailand or Turkey, because they were big countries. Just auctions on the ecosystem of Cox Automotive was not enough.
Yeah.
So we started.
Well, it's kind of copy paste all the time.
Yeah. So we start looking to other opportunities, like next year, like it's floor planning to the dealers. We start looking into Dealer Track. That is a B2B platform on financing to the end consumer and the dealers. We start looking on Cali Blue Book, because Cali Blue Book, I don't know if you have an example here in South Africa of a reference book. What is?
So we have the TransUnion Auto Guide.
Okay.
Which is equivalent. I wouldn't say it's equivalent, but it's like Cali Blue Book. Yeah.
Like, as you know, Cali Blue Book is so known in the US that people even believe that Cali Blue Book is from the government. It's in the government. It's not. It's owned by Cox Automotive, right? But and also we have the marketplaces that I was not able to acquire them in some countries, but we've done local partnerships in different countries.
I was going to get to that. You're probably getting there now. So how did you, what was this link to marketplaces? And you're touching on it.
Yeah. When I start getting close to that is because on a certain moment, I also became a vice president at Cox Automotive in terms of business development outside of the US, so including then Canada, Australia, many other countries. So I was flying around.
This?
That's a great question.
I'm trying to place our friend Chip Perry, Dale Pollock.
That was probably around 2015.
Okay,
I think, that I became vice
so it was
president.
Post Chip Perry's time.
Yes.
Because Chip Perry joined.
That's when you were asking, Cox Automotive, the common friend that we have is Steve Greenfield.
Yes.
And that guy has also been, he was at
Auto Trader, and
he was Auto Trader. Even before that, he was Mannheim, and he was Mannheim Consulting. And I met him when I started at Mannheim.
Okay.
I don't know, in 2006, I think.
Okay, so this was the mid-teens in the 2000s.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So all this time you were doing auctions.
Yes.
Okay.
But then, as I mentioned to you, the first element was the auctions in Portugal, and then the second variable was multi-country, until I got like 6 countries. And then the third variable was that auctions was not enough to develop the market. So I introduced Cali Blue Book in those countries, Dealer Track, and then I tried to acquire marketplaces because they were relevant in the puzzle. So I basically decided to partner with some of the leaders, sometimes with the number 2. That was a big mistake. One thing is to work with the number 1. I know that today by heart. Working with the number 2, it's really tough. I've done some cool things.
Yeah.
So that's when I start getting closer to
Well, it's
marketplaces.
that winner takes all phenomenon, right?
Yes.
But didn't Cox already have Auto Trader in those days?
They had Auto Trader in the US.
In the US, but
And as you know,
nowhere
all
else.
the other Auto Traders is sort of an initial
Yes.
copycat of that name. But in Portugal, when we thought about it, it was already taken.
Okay.
At those days was StandVirtual.
Yes.
And then, you know, we couldn't work at those days with StandVirtual. And then in Brazil, it was Web Motors. We couldn't work with them. In the case of Turkey, it was Sahim Bidan, and we could not work with them. So it was hard to the number one, like, we don't need to work with you. So because they see we could have some benefit. But with the angle of Cali Blue Book, some of them wanted to work with us because we had something different with Cali Blue Book that the marketplace doesn't have. It's an independent.
Yeah.
It gives you information. He also was starting doing.
Well, the
instant cash
marketplaces
offer.
wanted to move into the data
Exactly,
world.
exactly.
Right, and Cali Blue Book had the data.
And for me, that was amazing because it again related back to the days of computer science where I've always been in love with data since my early days. My thesis was around databases and connecting data, stuff like that. So, you know, for me, this connection with Cali Blue Book and, you know, understanding how to predict the market, how to analyze the market, you know, how to have different prices, wholesale prices, asking prices, trading prices, you know, all that understanding, you know, it fascinated me. And so that's why, you know, in a certain moment I was trying to bring Cali Blue Book around the world. So there was, we done stuff to bring Cali Blue Book into the UK, the same thing into Canada, into Brazil, into Australia. We were doing some projects, the same thing we done it in Portugal, we tried it in Turkey and also in Thailand, right? So that's like as you can see, the third variable that is start going away just from the car auctions, even though it gave me a tremendous basis about understanding the cars, understanding the dealers, understanding the market.
And understanding trade.
Understanding trade.
Because, I mean, fundamentally, that's what we do in the automotive industry is we ultimately trade cars, trade them in and sell them. So you started to venture into this world of partnering or trying to partner with marketplaces. When did the marketplace bug bite?
What do you mean with bug bite? Let me know that one.
Maybe it's a South African term.
Yes, I know, probably.
So when did marketplaces become the primary interest?
Man, they became a primary interest when we launched a car buying operation. It was at the moment was very relevant at the auction environment to do car buying. So we would buy the cars to sell them back through the lanes.
Yes.
And if you want to do that on your own, it's superly expensive.
Yeah.
Because the traffic is on the marketplaces. So we couldn't go, and the first that we tried to do it was in Portugal, where we couldn't go with the number one that was StandVirtual, the one that I'm the GM today. So we went to the market with the number two that was called AutoSapo. Sap means frog, so it's AutoSapo, and it was pretty successful. Even though it was the number two, we were able to, like, I think you guys here in South Africa have these guys from We Buy Cars, something like that, or you know you also
the
have
car buying service in South Africa is We Buy Cars. Yeah.
So it was doing the exact same thing, but in that case together with the marketplace. I think the same way you do with instant offer, right? But in that case, we were buying the cars. We had physical locations, like physical stores to buy the cars, and then we would only wholesale those cars. So for a small country like Portugal, we reached to like 2,000 cars being sold through the lanes. That was relevant. And I said, man, if I was doing this with StandVirtual, we would be doing 10,000, 20,000. So I could clearly see the benefit of working with it. And another thing that it was like something I think was unique that we have done on those days is to help dealers when they were buying the cars. We had a screen connected with the marketplace to say the car that you are seeing now in the lane for 10,000 euros is now the asking price on the marketplace is 12,000. So that would help the dealer as the car would go through. You would see what is the B2C price, and then you would see what's the B2B that I can give so I can play. So I could see that if I have serious access to the marketplace, it's tremendous power to go to the next level. And then with Cali Blue Book, it opened those doors. So like in Brazil, we had the chance to work with e-cars. That was again the number two. I could not work with the number one, that was Web Motors. And then In Turkey, we almost worked with the number one, that was Haim Indan. But again, we had to go with the number two, that I think was Arabam.com at those days. We tried the same thing in other countries, like in Australia, we could not go with car sales. So we had to acquire a company called the Cars Guide. I don't know if you remember
Yes,
this name. And then we transformed that into the Auto Trader brand with Kelly Blue Book in Australia. So, man, the marketplaces, as I was having more this vice president role that was basically focused on countries outside of the US,
So
I could see how relevant the marketplace would be in the future of the automotive retail.
In those years, I was visiting carsales.com
Amazing business.
in Australia, amazing business. And I visited Cars Guide as well, but I visited Car Sales more because market leader, you want to interface with the other market leaders.
And Cars Guide at those days were very focused on content.
Yes.
At the time when we acquired them, it was to move them from more being a content business into a more classified business.
Exactly. And then becoming Auto Trader, and I don't know if it still exists there.
I think it still. No, but because it was also acquired together with Association of Dealers, and I think Cox is still in Australia. I'm not sure if they already divested, but there was intention to divest, because one thing that I really learned is on this marketplace business, being a number two, it's really tough. You know, it's like the number one. If it doesn't take it all, it takes
80%.
80% of the market. It's like, you know, and if you don't screw up, it's really hard for you to lose the number one position.
Yeah, number two is tough. So then how did you?
So let's not talk about the third and the fourth, right?
Well, yeah, it's
the same level
1, 2, and then third and fourth. How did you end up at StandVirtual after this roller coaster?
So what happened is, because Brazil was so big in the portfolio of the 6 countries I had, and also working with the other markets, and there was no clear CEO in the market, I was always acting as an interim CEO for Brazil, while it was still a very business development country. As we were doing Dealer Track, Kelly Blue Book, we were doing auctions, we were planning to do next year, there's a lot of stuff going on. So I was going to Brazil on a month, almost 2 weeks. And there's a point that it made me think to say, Nuno, man, I was traveling like 1 million miles per year. You know, I was, you know, you can get to that level where you almost can have your name on one plane, because you do all those top mileage. And at those moments, my parents would get a little bit sick, and my eldest daughter was already planning, or she's already starting to go and study abroad, and my youngest was going into university. So I said, maybe this is the moment to go back to Portugal. I think it's you know, otherwise, you know, I would not spend more time with my parents. So it was 2019, and the opportunity came over, you know, out of the blue. I said, if there was a place that I would go back into Portugal, it would be StandVirtual. That was the thing. Because even going to be the CEO of an OEM, I don't think it's as broad, and I cannot leverage my experience in the automotive in Portugal.
Independent is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can play with the whole market.
We can play with the whole market. I can leverage all my knowledge. And I think I could take this data science to another level, because we didn't talk much about that, but I was acquainted also with Dale Pollack around 2012, because we thought about bringing V out, that was his original company, into Brazil, into Germany. We had those discussions. End of the day, they decided not to leave. But I learned a lot, and that's why then we turned to Kelly Blue Book to make Kelly Blue Book international.
Yeah.
So I start to say, man, I really need to go back to those days of data science and bringing. Reading the books of Dale Pollack and believing the way the Americans were doing it, more scientific way of managing, especially the used car business. As you know, in the US, you can also apply the same into new cars. In some of our countries, you don't have data for that because it's not so much available. So I said, man, if I would go back to Portugal, I would go to the marketplace, because I also had the chance in a certain moment when we were at Cox, we thought about being a very strong number 2 in Brazil, that is e-carros. And John said, Nuno, do you want to be the CEO? I said, yeah, I would move my family into Brazil. But it didn't, that deal didn't came through. But the idea about moving into the marketplace, it came to me. And then so the opportunity came through in the beginning of 2019, and I was still doing a lot of stuff. I said, man, I can't do it. I could not accept the offer. But by the summertime, I said, I need to go back home. And I called the guys from OLX and said, guys, I know that I said no. My bargain power to come in is not that good, but if you guys still want to consider me as the general manager for Portugal, I'm looking forward to it. And they said, yeah. We haven't took a decision, so let's put you in on the final candidates we have. And in the end of the day, I came back to Portugal, to the marketplace, and I'm very happy to that, because I think I'm also able in two angles. First, I think to deliver value into my home country and to bring back a lot of the knowledge that I think acquired.
Your heart would be there, right?
Yeah, so I think I can help the market and do a lot of stuff, because I know the whole market, everybody knows me, so I can have serious impact. And then because we are a multinational group here in the OLX group, I work a lot with my colleagues in Romania, in Poland, in Ukraine, in South Africa. There was times, even today, sometimes I have some exchange with OLX Brazil. Yeah. They also have an important play on Automotive. In the past, with some guys in Latin America or India, we are no longer there. So, I still have the opportunity to do all this connection and learn with different markets. So, and as you know, with me, when we are leading the number one marketplace, there's so much that we can do, so much we can help in the market, and it really bring value to the market. I think the market recognizes that, and I think we are giving back to the market many years of experience, and I think both you and we still have so much to do.
So 2019, you joined StandVirtual.
Yep.
As you say, StandVirtual, I think.
Yeah.
What was your first move when you joined StandVirtual? What was the thing you did first?
Man, if you ask me even today, I think I was probably rushing too much into this data science approach.
Okay.
Because I came in and I talked to the guys that I had at those days, and they basically said, no.
Because you're just before COVID, right?
Yes, it was just before COVID. Just before COVID. Yeah. And I came in, and the majority of and I went to visit the customers. I would have the same approach that I used to have around the world, and talking to customers about their business. Where they do profit, what is the rotation of the cars, what are the margins, how many trading, stuff like that. And my team at those days basically was there focusing on, do you want to do some more promotional on your ads? How many ads you had online? That was too much just advertising type of talk. And I said, guys, we need to change. But probably was too early. After a couple of weeks, I was like, guys, man, I don't think this is the way we can help the market. So just go there and sell, I'll give you 30% discount, and you can promote more cars, put more cars. I think we are here to help your customers. So a significant part of my team was not into it. I said, man, we've been doing this for 10 years, we know. Yeah. So Nuno, I'm sorry, man, we are here to sell advertising. We are not here to talk about the retail business of our customers. So, and at the moment there was an initial association that tried to create a competitive marketplace. So half of my sales team just left basically after 1 month or 2 months that I was in charge. So so I had a new salesperson that joined us. He's been working with me for the last 17 years. So he came from Cox and joined us also. He's Pedro Soares. And I honestly felt it was a blessing. And even today I believe it's a blessing, because the majority of the people that and then I rehired into the team, they are people that came from the automotive retail with more of a fresh mind, more internet oriented. So many of them come from Mercedes, BMW, Seat, all those brands, but sort of people that are more internet savvy, right? Not like old school salesmen. Even there's a lot of value on those people, but for this type of function, understanding automotive, but having a lot of internet savvy helped a lot. So we changed a lot.
For me, that was one of my biggest learnings in this role. Was I tried to work right at the beginning. I was in my early 30s, just like you. I tried to work with people that had grown up in print. And eventually they all left. But I tried to change them. I tried to get their mindset to change. And it was a 3-year struggle that failed. So I firmly believe that was a blessing in disguise.
It was, I think it was.
It was a blessing in disguise because you had the opportunity now to bring people in that were...
And I was not forced to go through that attrition process.
Yeah.
But I honestly think, and I'm lucky that the market is proving that, is the market is really appreciating that, data science is helping them. Like today, the level of information that people have, they didn't have in the market in terms of, the traditional velocity metrics from Dale Pollack and new metrics that we're introducing now in terms of cost to market, price to market, market day supply. Now it's fully integrated into the platform, and that's so tremendous benefit to our customers to price the car right. Yeah. Not to lose money on the table or to sell some cars faster or to acquire the right cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and this on the early days, maybe you see the same thing with the printing. It was more about advertising, having the cars, and I don't care if it's the right cars or not the right cars. So today, I don't think I have a team of salespeople. I basically think I have a team of performance managers. They are there to help our customers to get the best performance out of their business.
They are essentially good people, but they're feature sellers. They sell features and benefits, as opposed to selling data that helps your business succeed in retail sales. So first, I wouldn't say move, but maybe move. You have 6 salespeople leave.
And then it turned into maybe 9.
Maybe 9 people leave. Big portion of your sales team. How did you take that at that time? I mean, hindsight is 20/20. So you can look back and say, blessing in disguise. But at that moment in time, you're the leader, a new leader of a business. 9 of your critical people that make your revenue decide to leave. How do you process that?
Man, I think it was tough. Even the group said, "Is this the right guy to lead the business? Come over and significant part of the sales team leaves." I don't know. Probably the guy's not right? Because if the majority of the people don't think it's right. But at the time, COVID came over. So these guys, they decide to leave by Christmas time on 2019, and COVID, as we know, started February 2020. Yeah. So also gave us some time to adjust, right? Because the COVID was like...
Wasn't I with you in the NADA beginning of 2020?
Yes, we were together. Just 2 months or something like that, or a month, something after the team left. But I felt that as a positive. I also want to, the guy that worked with me, Pedro, for many years in Cox, as he joined, he helped me. So me and him together even took over directly the top customers because we lost the key accounts that had those customers. Yeah. And we know those customers for many, many years. So me and Pedro just took over a lot of those sales responsibility talking to customers. And also because people trust us, I was able to very quickly put on the team more, 4 or 5 people that I know for several years, I know from the market. So I was able to rebuild the team very, very quickly. And the COVID helped to train those people remotely on a more easy way. So when the COVID came out and we start, though they had time to train them.
Yeah.
And fortunately, the reaction to the business was positive. Of course, the COVID shaken us, but there was no negative impact from a revenue perspective. So even the people that is managing the business from the outside said, there's some shake here, but the business is still rolling, and it kept rolling pretty well in the upcoming years. And I think they helped a lot because even today, as like you here on AutoTrader, we do a lot of work around content around the cars. And it's so interesting that when we have doubts about cars, we have a lot of people in our team that is knowledgeable about cars. Yeah. Like even classic cars. Our sales manager that manages our account managers on the road, man, he's focused on classic cars. He races the cars. He used to be a co-pilot, and he still knows the prices of the cars. And as we now are doing like history reports on the cars, we can understand the difference on the imported cars, why some prices make sense or not. So I think we have a lot of much more automotive knowledge. And in the end of the day, I think that the market recognizes that. They know that the people that today talk to them, they know much more about the automotive business. And the most relevant thing is that the whole team got to another level of knowledge in terms of automotive. So even people that do more this performance, helping the customers to perform, but they are not so much on the road, but they are more remote on Zoom or calls or whatever. We also hired some people coming from automotive, but they also step up in terms of their knowledge when they talk to customers. They call to customers not so much to maximize the number of cars they have online, but to say, man, you have a couple cars, you should increase your prices.
Yeah.
Or, you know, some of these cars are not moving. Can I help you?
Yeah.
So, and then the customers say, come on, this guy is coming with these guys are coming with very...
He really wants to help me.
Want to help them, right? And honestly, I think there are some cases that even customers come say, I should spend money. Say, you don't need to spend money. You just need to adjust the prices, or you are okay, man. This is not the moment for you to spend money. Yeah. And sometimes there is. So I think it changed the conversation, and I think they believe we are there to help them not survive, but as you like to say, to thrive.
Thrive, exactly. So let's kind of like move to a different topic, and that is leadership. So I've been to StandVirtual, met some of your team, and they're inspired by you. I'm inspired by you.
I'm inspired by you, by the way.
So from a leadership point of view, what are some of your personal values? What are the things that are the foundation of your leadership style?
I think you are touching in one of them that I think is crucial. I think one of our missions as leaders of the team, I think like the same case with you in AutoBiography, is that we should be ideally the first source of inspiration. And then as more as they can be inspired on us, and then that we can trust on the team, then they will do, in many cases, a much better business than us. So we need to be here to guide them, you know, to help them, to motivate them, to show them the way. But in the end of the day, we need to delegate, and we need to trust our teams. And based on that, you know, they will take it to another level that if we concentrate too much on us, the job will never get done.
Yeah.
We need to, you know, to leverage our teams. So from that perspective, I think we should inspire our teams. And I think to be a very serious leader, I think we need to see ourselves that we are more serving the team, and the team is not serving us. We are there, you know, if they need help in some customers, in new ideas, in projects, we are there to serve them. And if they see that, they come to us for help, not specifically expecting that we give them guidance. You go that way, no man, you need help, come to me. We all know where we want, so we need to have a common understanding where we want to go. How we're going to get there, we're going to do it together. But we also need to believe that's the way to get there. And the second thing about leadership, I'm a father of two daughters, right? And that's very important to me. And you know, even now I also have like an additional daughter and an additional son because I got remarried. But especially with my daughters, because they've been with me for more than 20 years, I think leadership is not one way. Leadership is two ways. So people that are listening to us and also have kids, they know that many times we are not the ones sometimes guiding the kids on the weekend, they are guiding us. We're going to party, we're going there. So it's bi-directional. So we can give stuff and some directions, but in many ways we also are directed the way the team also interacts with us. Yeah. And then we are there, you know, to serve them, and I also help them in some way. So I think, and in the end of the day, it ends up, especially in our business, I think a lot of this is about people. You know, we need basically to care about our people, and this cannot be fake stuff. This needs to be real. I just can give you an example, a very practical example that just happened last week, and we decided. So we have done for one team the targets, and we on the management made a mistake. We thought that was sort of a price increase included, and it was not. So the target was slightly high, and then the team missed the target. as soon as we understand that, even though it was after the end of the month, we went back and we adjusted because it had impact on the commission of the people. So immediately be fair, and above all, you know, if the team is not motivated, right? If the team doesn't believe in what we are doing, if the team is not having fun together, it's not going to get there. And I think that's why, even, I don't know if you use the same case, sometimes I consider that more than 50% of my time is taking care about the people. I wouldn't say HR because it sounds bad to say that the humans are a resource. You know, we are a team. I don't like even to say the word employee. You know, they are my team members, right? We are all together in the same team.
Well, the way I look at it, resources can be sold. Can you sell a person? No. So, yeah, definitely the wrong term.
Yeah.
So, what was a pivotal moment in your career? If you have to you've told me the whole story of your career now. If you had to think back, what would you say was a fork in the road? A real pivotal moment where if that fork did not occur, you would not be sitting here today.
Yeah, as we talked today, there was a couple of those moments, but the one that for sure would not made me be here and have maybe this broad, it was when I think I had the opportunity from John Bailey to become not only the managing director for Portugal, but be open to more 5-6 markets, and then the rest came because, you know, I could not stay just with one solution of the car auction. I had to go broader, and then I had to understand how relevant the marketplace would be for me to even deliver more value to the market, so that today I'm focused on the market. So I think that was the pivotal moment, even though if you ask me, if I decided not to do the MBA and go to McKinsey.
Well, those are all incremental.
Incremental, but that's the one that, you know, otherwise if I wasn't probably gone to, as I see with some of my colleagues, that are still today, probably, some of them the general managers for Spain or for some other countries, because they are still doing the same thing, but going to other markets opened my world, and because I opened to that, I felt I need to go be on auctions, and then had the chance to meet people like you, like, you know, like Dale Pollack, and above all, that helped me. I think that's on me. I think I told you even today when we were meeting that I believe I'm going to be learning until the day I close my eyes forever, and I like that. You know, I like to learn. I like to make questions. You know, always moving forward. So, being exposed to more countries, to more people, and like to the Cox world those days, and even today to the OLX world, I can learn and I can go to other frontiers. So, as you know, I've always been very inspired by you, and especially since I arrived into the marketplace. And I would like to say this on my own autobiography, because I was even at your dealer convention a couple of days ago, and I said that very openly and very honestly, that, you know, you really inspired me because of the, you know, that connection that you do with the market, also with the consumers, and many of the stuff that you have been doing over the last 5 years. Sorry for that, but some of that I copy pasted. I made some adjustments. I made also some new stuff, but there was really, really exciting and inspiring stuff that you have done. So I think that's exactly about being a leader, is that an example like you is not just to inspire our own team, but inspire teams elsewhere. And you know, I'm in Portugal, I don't know, 7,000, 8,000 kilometers away, and or miles, I don't know. And I still get inspired by you every day, every week. Thanks.
Appreciate that. So in terms of a mentor or mentors, or even hero. So, you know, for me, a hero is somebody that doesn't know you, and you don't know them personally, but you look up to them, and or there's features, or there's things about a hero that you want to aspire to. So for me, that's the definition of a hero. The person doesn't really know you, but they're doing amazing things, and you kind of a little bit of a guiding light in parts of what they do. And then there's mentors. Mentors kind of interact with you all the time. Okay, so
or sometimes,
yeah. So who in your life have been heroes, 1, 2, 3 people, doesn't matter, and who in your life have been mentors, and how have they inspired you to become the person that you are?
Yeah, that's good, because in the other day I was like, because I'm very active in LinkedIn as you are, and the LinkedIn platform made me that question, right? About especially the mentors. But I can start on the heroes. That is, it's easy. Someone that I don't know, that as I ran around the world, everybody knows him. Even I arrived here in South Africa this week, everybody knows him, and it's not about automotive, but it's about his attitude. Some people don't like him, it's normal, and a lot of people love him. And that guy is Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he shows around the world someone that, it's not just about, heart, but it's also about science. The guy, he goes to the limit to be the best athlete as he can. He's the first one to arrive at the training center, he's the last one to leave. I don't know if that's the best practice, but nonetheless, it's someone that is very focused on being the best. He has that attitude that, I think it was in Manchester United, they asked a couple of players who's the best player in the world. Everybody gave their opinion, and when they asked Ronaldo, and he was like, I think 20 years old or 19 at the time, I'm the best player in the world. And I think if you really became the best player in the world, and by far it will be very difficult anyone to have the same numbers. There's other variables, but the point is, when I go to Thailand, when I used to go to Australia, even when I arrived here this week, everybody knows Cristiano Ronaldo. And he knows he's an example of someone that really wants to go to the next level. And I always use Ronaldo as an example, even into my teams, as someone that he doesn't totally disrupt sometimes, but he's always, I think, stretching himself slightly out of the comfort zone.
He's always chasing his own
right?
Success.
So the guy now is chasing 900 goals. But there's also the next level of 1,000 goals. He's 39 years old.
Yeah.
But the guy's always, chasing the next challenge. But he doesn't go to extreme. So he's always in this creates, and I think I apply this in many of my teams, especially on the StandVirtual team, to have this high performance culture, because you're always stretching yourself every month, every quarter, every year, and this keeps a continuously hyper. It's like it's not like 0 to hero, but it's like you continuously. And then, of course, when the guy gets to this level that is so good, he's always at the hero level, right? Yeah. But nonetheless, I think this is very relevant. It takes the name of Portugal around the world, and then so and I think there's inspiration. And even when I was talking yesterday at the dealer convention, I gave that example, and I think that's also an example where science also helps someone with heart to get to the next level. So, and he doesn't know me, right? I never had the chance to meet him. Probably I will not meet him in my life. But and as I travel from more than 20 countries around the world from business perspective, I don't remember one single country that people don't talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. So from a Euro perspective,
I'm not a football person, and I even know.
Sorry, but some of your people seeing Autobiography, they are more for sure rugby fans. I really love the Springboks, and I'm Portuguese, trying to do a little bit of things on rugby. But for people that may know football, or as you call it, soccer, I think it's a tremendous reference. Some may like him, some don't. It's life. Mentors. I think you heard me say the name a couple times of John Bailey.
Yes.
I think that guy is really an entrepreneur, right? And he's also very connected with the internet. And he was my boss for, I don't know, all the years I was in Cox. Sometimes maybe I was not directly reporting to him, but he was there.
He was there.
He was like, he would show up to help me and to mentor me. And internet was not totally yet available. And John had that vision that he could do the auctions online. So he basically created a system that he could do auctions through satellite. I don't know if you remember these days. It was the first ideas came through, and John created this at his own auctions in the UK. And he went to the Cox and said, I have a new idea, internet was not yet there, that we can do online auctions through satellite. And then the guys in the US from Cox said, it's an amazing idea. So they decided to acquire part of his business. And I think initially 50-50, and then he moved to 80-20. And then, of course, when the internet kick in, you know, with that concept immediately apply with internet, and then, you know, also the business boosted in the UK and in the US. And so he was a visionary, right? The guy bought, you know, he bought classifieds around the world. He went into many businesses, and he has that mentality to grow. Sometimes, you know, we need to grow the business from scratch. Sometimes we need to acquire. So I learned so much with John, and even I'm still in contact with him, you know, almost every week, you know, just, you know, saying something, and you know, because it's someone that really inspired me on this journey. But another example I would still also put out is that it was also relevant to me. There was a lady called Esmeralda Dourado that was the CEO of that group that had the importership of Volkswagen. And I think she was the person that also took me where I am today, because she looked me as a McKinsey consultant and said, you know, and I was 28, 29 years old.
This is not a PowerPoint jockey.
And he says, man, let's invite this guy to be a board member and to come here to talk about internet and to be the sort of a CTO and then moving more into business. And you always have this mentality of doing more, you know, of innovation. How can we do more? You know, if I would come with a new idea, she would say, no. She would say, tell me more about it. Man, tell me the idea. And then I think that DNA also stayed with me, and Esmeralda.
Gives you confidence.
And you know, and it was at those days a woman running an automotive group. It was like, you know, an ecosystem, right? With rent-a-car, fleet companies, used car, you know, new cars, used car retail, all that stuff. And but he has this, and even today, you know, she's still, I think she's around 70, or, you know, getting close to 70, whatever. And she's still active. She's still a non-executive board member in many companies, because she has this provocative attitude, like, you know, can we do different? You know, what we have done today, should we change it? Yeah. What can we do new? So and I think this stayed with me, and I saw the results, and that also a mentor that even and with those mentors I'm still connected today, and I still talk to her. And last but not the least, this is a bit more far away. It's on that limit of the hero and the mentor, and that one is Dale Pollack. I know Dale Pollack. I was with him on the last NADA this year when we were in Vegas. I met him twice, and even he helped me. Because I discussed with him that on top of the velocity metrics, I want to create a new metric that, you know, I think is going to be applied in Portugal and in Europe, and potentially, if you think it's great for your dealers, I talked about that recently. But it was based on, you know, the work that Dale Pollack have done over the last 15, 20 years that also made me believe on that stuff. And I think I will try to take it to another level for other markets, because I think maybe for the UK market, some metrics are not needed, but for the less developed data science markets, we need to create some interim metrics that will help our dealers to understand. So, but it's not like, it's not on my WhatsApp, right? It doesn't come to my birthday parties, right? But if I see him on NADA, we can talk, but the guy probably don't even knows exactly, you know, I'm a tall guy, you know, Cox, Steve Greenfield, you know, so we have some common friends, but, you know, it's on that linear between the hero and the mentor, but I cannot also send messages to ask advice. But if I have the chance to be with him, I will probe, as I done last time at AEA, and I think he was also very influential to me on this second book that I'm going to write, creating, you know, additional value on top of those velocity metrics.
Well, Nuno, that's been epic. I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to your story, and any final pieces of advice for any aspiring leaders, people in the automotive industry that want to grow themselves and you know, take their careers to the next level? What would you say to them?
Honestly, I'm talking from my own experience, right? I think even though, you know, we can be the best professionals we want to be, and then we leave home and we don't think about it, I think it makes a difference for us to have passion. I honestly have a lot of passion from what I do on some specific angles, and I think that helps. Like sometimes, I don't know if it's the same with you, it became hard to disconnect. Like on the weekends or, you know, at night, you know, I'm still thinking about that stuff. But I think that helps to have that passion that also helps to inspire the others. And we need to have a clear vision where we want to go, but many times we don't know how to get there. And one example is this, I think for the last at least 10 years, and I've been trying to do this, like specifically in Portugal, around helping the market to be more data-driven. And since I think 10, 15 years ago, I know I need to help the Portuguese market to have a more data science approach. And it took me a lot of steps to put Kelly Blue Book in the market. It didn't work through. Yeah. I tried to introduce Menai market report, and it didn't totally work. And then finally, I got into StandVirtual, but still in StandVirtual, it took me now 5 years to be able to deliver all those metrics in the market. And the market is not there yet, but I know that this is something going to help the market, and I believe this will generate value to the market. And also, then I think also that my team also believes in that. So having that, that vision, that goal, and I think passion helps into it. And above all, I think we cannot do these things alone. We need amazing teams, and probably in many situations, individually, our team members are best on what they do. Our marketing people, some of our sales people, some product people, they probably are better doing what they do than what we do. But we can aggregate everybody, and we can all deliver results based on an amazing team. We can do that, I think, alone.
So if I had to summarize all of that, to be successful in your career, you must have passion, you must have patience, and you must have empathy for people.
Absolutely.
And on that note, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure.
I'm actually sad you're going home tonight.
I hope you can come to Portugal soon. It will be always a pleasure.
I'm definitely going to. Thank you, Nuno.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.